Am I the a-hole for telling my dad and his wife their marriage wasn't a deal my siblings and I signed up for? My dad married his wife 5 years ago. I, 16 female, was 11, my brother was 14, and my sister was 15. His wife had an 8 and 6-year-old at the time, who are now 11 and 13. The marriage was tough on my siblings and me. Our dad's wife came in day one of living together and made things much more strict, with our dad's backing obviously, but she was always on us, always picking apart the stuff we did. We'd always had chores, but usually my brother and I woke up early and did ours before school, while my sister did hers in the hour she was home without anyone else. That was stopped, and we were told all kids had to do chores together, so the big kids could help the little ones. My sister said it wasn't our job to help her kids. Dad's wife said they were our siblings now, which my sister and brother loudly declared they were not, and it became a fight. We went from being able to eat out with friends after school or at friends' houses to needing to be home for family dinners. We complained to our dad, but he said it was important to his wife that we all come together. Stuff like that was common, and she and my brother and sister fought a lot because my siblings did not treat her kids even close to how they treated me, and it bothered her. With me, it was less of a fight because I was the baby of our sibling group, and I think she thought I would eventually take the role over. When I didn't, and my siblings made no effort to be her kids' big siblings, she and my dad dragged me to family therapy, and we have been going for a while now. What sparked the interest in therapy was my sister ended up moving into a place, and she had a room just for me there, and another just for my brother, and no special space for our step-siblings. So anyway, therapy has been ongoing for months now. And it's basically been a lot of my dad and his wife talking and asking why I don't call her stepmom or her kid siblings. And then the therapist finally decided to take control recently and start going into more stuff. And he asked why it bothered them so much that we weren't super close. And my dad's wife said her kids came as part of the package deal, and we all knew the deal when they got married. I jumped in and said my siblings and I never signed up for their marriage. Said we were part of no deal, and it's not fair to hold us to any deal made because we didn't make it. My dad blew up on me in the session, and the therapist was trying to defuse the situation. The last 4 sessions, my dad and his wife have dominated the sessions over what I said. They also put me under house arrest for being rude and selfish for saying what I did. It pisses me off, but part of me wonders if I was wrong to say it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell the therapist that you've been grounded for sharing your feelings in a therapy session. I don't think there's much he can do at this point. He's basically just another body in the room during these sessions when my dad and his wife dominate. It's literally his job to handle this. Could you contact him outside of the sessions, or do you feel unsafe doing that? Also, are her kids there, or just you? Just me. It is his job, but, yeah, I could call. Your parents are being dishonest about the therapy. They wanted to fix you, instead of learning what is going wrong with the family dynamic. Tell the therapist you're being punished for things you say in therapy. Not the a-hole. Move in with your sister if you can. They will never change. They are literally forcing you to therapy to fix the mess they made. They will always blame you guys. If I were Opie, I'd do it. I'd call the police non-emergency and speak with an officer and say, I'm 16 and moving in with my sister. My dad might throw a fit, and I know legally you guys can't do anything since it's a civil matter. I just wanted to get an idea what would happen if he does call you guys so I can be prepared. The few times I've had to preemptively call, they've even given me a way to teach the notes for calls so I could tell the officer to check the notes, and then evening always goes my way. Not the a-hole. To hold you in contempt for what was said during therapy, where you're supposed to feel safe and heard, is disgusting parenting. You are absolutely right. You guys didn't sign up for this package deal. And for them to hold you accountable for their choices is messed up. I hope that the therapist gains control of the sessions, and feel free to tell them that you are being punished at home for what is said in sessions. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my things out of my room because I'm moving and making my foster sister cry? So I, 18 female, am moving out. I've been sharing a room with my foster sister, just 16, for 3 months. Throughout my life, I have had many foster siblings and have been forced to give up my things for them, which I think is where my possessiveness of my belongings comes from. I told my mom I was going to pack my stuff beforehand, and she said sure, but that her and Jess would be out while I do so. I didn't take all the furniture, but I took things like my keyboard, my plants, my books, posters/art, all my clothes, etc. I also took the butcher's block that I had. By the time everything was packed, my side looked a lot more bare, but it wasn't too bad. I also took the cats, which was always the plan between my mom and I. Well, when the pair gets home, Jess looks at the boxes and runs upstairs before sobbing. My mom runs up too and starts ragging on me. Apparently, she didn't think I'd take all my stuff, things like my trinkets and my lamp, and that I took some of Jess's favorite things, like the posters on my wall that I bought with my own money or my graduation candle holders. I apologized to Jess, but say that everything in the boxes is mine, through gifts or my own money. I even offered to buy her some duplicates or similar things, but she said she wants my ones. At this point, I leave because I realize my presence isn't making anything better. My mom texted me later and said it was a prick move not leaving some posters up or a few books. But in my mind, these are my things and I am entitled to them. My relationship with my mom isn't over, but it's strained, and now I'm wondering if I should have just bit the bullet and left some things behind, even though they're mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's your stuff. You have every right to take it. Exactly. And Opie was even generous enough to offer to buy Jess some stuff of her own. I get that as a foster child, Jess might have abandonment issues, but that doesn't mean that Opie has to give up her things. The real a-hole here is Opie's mom for berating Opie. That's only enabling Jess and making her feel more entitled to Opie's belongings. Opie's mom is failing both girls here. She could have used this as a bonding moment with Jess, to take her out and buy Jess her own books and posters that Jess could keep forever. That was my thought. She took her out so she wouldn't be there while the packing was going on. And if she had realistic expectations, she could have done that then, so Jess could have been excited to redecorate and less focused on the leaving aspect. Not a hole. While sharing is important, being forced to share is basically theft. It's not your fault your foster sister likes your things. You like them too. So yes, take all of your stuff and get out of there. Not a hole. These are your things and no one is entitled to them but you. Also, your foster sister's mental health isn't your responsibility. It's your mom's. Also, let me point out that you have nothing to feel guilty for. This strain on your relationship is your mother's fault as a consequence of her reaction. Not a hole. They were your things. You had no reason to anticipate Jess's reaction nor duty to remedy it. My guess is she's sadder about you leaving than your posters, and the boxes and barren room really drove that home. Maybe as a 16-year-old foster child, she has abandonment issues? Her refusal to accept the replacement posters would certainly support this theory. So I don't know if I can call Jess the a-hole. Your mom, however, is definitely the a-hole for blaming you for Jess's reaction and, once again, demanding that you sacrifice your own things for your foster siblings. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole for throwing every wrestling match I'm forced to attend? My 15-male school has recently restarted all of the sports programs after almost a year of no limited activity. Before that, I was part of the swim team, one of the smaller groups at our school. I love swimming, and it really sucked that we couldn't go for such a long time. With the restart, the school also made a new system. Every student writes down 3 different after-school activities in order of interest, so number 1 choice is your favorite, 2 your second favorite, and so on. The teachers in charge of the groups then pick the students. First pick is students who already belong to the groups before lockdown. Second pick is then random, and third pick is if there are still places left open in the group. Since I was part of the swim team before and put it down as my first choice, I would basically be guaranteed to get in. But now the results are out and I was placed in wrestling. Never even put that on my list at all. So I went to the teacher and asked what's going on. Turns out the teacher in charge of wrestling specifically requested me for whatever reason. Turns out my dad knows the wrestling teacher quite well and asked for me to be placed on the team. I know my dad hates that I prefer swimming. He always says it's not a real sport, and that I should do some sport that actually gives me muscles. He constantly tells me I'm too skinny for a guy, and has made several attempts to make me go to the gym to work out. I asked the teachers if I can still switch teams, but they say no. I also cannot just avoid a wrestling club because after-school activities are mandatory. So last night, I had a huge fight with my dad. I called him a knave for forcing me to go to wrestling, and that I will just forfeit every single match I have to attend. He threatened me, saying if I do that, he will take away all my electronics, and I will only be allowed to leave the house for school and nothing else. My mom says I should have the right to choose whatever sport I want, but now that I'm on the wrestling team, I should still do my best. And also not to call my dad an A. But I don't want to participate in something I have zero interest in, was even forced into. Also, I was really looking forward to swimming again and meeting my teammates. Now for the comments. Complain to your principal. This backroom deal between your father and the wrestling coach doesn't sound fair to you or anyone else who trusted the voting system. Fight this placement. You deserve swim team, not a hole. I can try to request a talk with the principal. We can't just walk in and talk to him. Have to go first to a teacher, then secretary and so on. But yeah, I will complain to my teachers. This isn't fair. Ask your swim coach among other teachers to speak up for you. Not a-hole. That's ridiculous. And also, your dad doesn't think swimming gives you muscles? Less manlier sports like gymnastics and even areas like dancing can be just as good for the body as more conveniently physical sports like football and wrestling, and great for stamina, hand-eye coordination, and straight-up perseverance. Look at Nightwing in the comics. Background is a trapeze artist with an acrobatic movement style, and he's one of the sexiest DC characters for good reason. Not an a-hole, but there are plenty of a-holes in your story. Dad, coach, and mom. I forced my kids to do stuff when they were your age, but only after they themselves had asked to join an activity. We had a one-semester rule. If you yourself want to play soccer, you don't get to come and go to practice as you wish because of Xbox or quit mid-season. Also, wrestling isn't just any sport. It is a combat sport that isn't for everyone. To force a young man to wrestle against his will is more bonkers than to force someone to swim. But don't call your dad an A if you want him to listen to your argument. Holy cow, not a-hole. Your father needs to learn something. Swimming is one hell of a workout. It's an Olympic sport for a reason. Sure, you don't get super buff like a bodybuilder, but you do get muscles from that. Swimming takes a lot of energy as well. It's not an easy sport. Also, you should fight this, as it was not your choice to begin with and this was a backroom deal. You stated this was not your choice. If it's not on the paper, why are you there? The teacher asked? No, they stated one of three. Wrestling is not one of your three choices. So they're saying your choice doesn't matter? Or will they honor your choices? Yeah, I will try and talk to my teachers again. Maybe they will let me switch later, because I know a lot of people are asking right now to switch since they didn't get their first choice or so. Yeah, Dad doesn't like cardio workouts and so on. He also wants me to eat more and lift to get bulky like him. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister not to bring her kids over so much? I, 25 female, recently graduated. The city I live in has a shortage of apartments. I could technically afford an available one, but that would mean I would have no extra money for anything but the bare basics. While waiting for a more reasonable place to open up, I have moved in with my parents, who own a house within reasonable commuting distance. My older sister, 32 female, has 3 children. 6 male, 3 female, 1 female. We aren't very close, as her entire identity since her oldest was born is a stay-at-home mom. She usually brings her kids over several times a week to visit, or have my parents babysit while she goes grocery shopping or other errands. I'm not really a kid person, don't plan on having any myself, and I can tolerate hers in small doses. Before, when I lived on campus, this wasn't really an issue. Now, however, I feel like I never get a break from kids. My parents don't allow them in my room, but when they're here, I can't go out and relax in the living room since they're in there. My room is fairly small, and I don't like being cooped up in it all day when they visit. Yesterday, when my sister picked up the kids, they decided to stay for dinner, which meant I had even less time without them. I asked my sister if she would limit their visits to a max of twice a week while I'm here, in order to respect my needs. She got extremely angry at me and accused me of selfishly preventing her kids from seeing their grandparents. Am I the a-hole? Do you ever think your parents are just tolerating you? You're 25. Move out. Entitled is the best word to describe you. You're the a-hole. I was thinking maybe the parents are encouraging the visits to annoy OP into leaving. Lol, I bet it's this. Opie's clownishly entitled. You're the a-hole. Not your house. And I'm sure your folks love seeing their grandkids. I say this as a child-free woman who understands kids can be way too much. I get the whole child-free thing, but it really bums me out when people act like this towards their own nieces and nephews. No one is asking you to adore being with children all the time, but the disrespect these children have to endure from people who have no reason not to love them is incomprehensible to me. Yet another child-free woman here to support this post. I'm also an only child, so this situation would never happen, but I can't imagine ever having the nerve. Opie, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole for a lot of reasons. Her entire identity since her oldest was born is stay-at-home mom. What else is it supposed to be? She's a mother with 3 kids. Give her a break. My parents don't allow them in my room. That is your needs being met, by the way. Anything past this makes you the a-hole. You want to relax in your home? Go get one. But your parents deserve to be grandparents if they want to be, and you don't get to take that away from them or your sister. But it's all about me, me, me. I hate all little kids except me, me, me. You're the a-hole. It's not your house, and nobody asked you to babysit. The entitlement coming off Opie is absolutely insane.